What's up, friends? Rock Chalk Sports on your Tuesday. Alongside Dan Courtwright, I am Sean Kellerman, and we've got a trio of technical directors
Yes, we do.
behind
There's more
us.
people behind the cameras than there are in front of the cameras.
How about that?
Isn't that interesting?
That's
I mean, it
strange.
takes a lot of work to make us look good.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's
there's
true.
that.
Big shout out to Elijah Schmidt, Jimmy Kaufman, Trey Myers, who are helping out today as football season is underway. We're going to get into that here in the opening segment. Today, the first day of fall camp, we got to hear from head coach Lance Leipold. We also got to hear from linebacker Trey Lathan and wide receiver Cam Pickett. We're going to play all of those for you today on Rock Chalk Sports. And then that coverage is going to continue as the week rolls on. We get to hear from Andy Kotelnicki, Matt Gildersleeve tomorrow. So make sure that you tuned
That'll
in.
be a fun press conference.
Oh,
It's going to last an hour.
always a very easy to talk to guy. Yeah, he's
Him and Sleeve, too,
he is
man.
he
Both
is a
those guys.
genius. Sleeve
I
is
know.
great too. Yeah, no, it's a great point. But yeah, we're gonna have KU football coverage, of course, the next 3-4 weeks as fall camp is underway. Media Day is actually 2 weeks from Thursday, so we're gonna have kind of assorted press conferences these next few weeks, and then we get to hear from a ton of guys at KU football Media Day Thursday, August 20th, and then Long Island comes calling on September 4th. So excited for that. But yeah, we are going to talk about day one of KU football fall camp. That's the big story right now here in the opening segment. Next segment, we're going to hear from a couple of Jayhawks. Like I said, Cam Pickett and Trey Lathan spoke today. Got to see them at the podium. A little bit of a
Yeah.
different experience for them, I'd imagine.
A little bit of a shakeup, putting
Andy
him at the
Ice.
podium with microphones and everything. Yeah, it was interesting. I was, but I thought it went well, and it's always good to hear from those two guys. Obviously, went to Big 12 Media Days there, so you anticipate that they're going to be a massive piece of this Kansas team. And when you look at those two guys, you're really looking at them kind of being the leaders in at least their skill position, if not on the entirety of their side of the football. Right, Trey Lathan, I always talk about it, the quarterback of the defense, and then Cam Pickett really is kind of the guy that everybody's looking at to be that, voice in the room. He has the experience from last year. He was a really nice piece on the offense from last year, really the only returner who made a meaningful impact from last year, at least in the wide receivers position. So, it was really cool to kind of hear from them and, track how their last fall camp's gone.
Yeah, Trey Lathan did a lot of speaking of leadership, and of course Pickett will be in a leadership spot as well. Perhaps he could play 2 more years at Kansas. We'll see, because he's a wide receiver, but we know he could be a factor in the running game as well. More on that here in a little bit. But yeah, after we hear from that Jayhawk duo, we're going to go inside the crown with David Lesky, as insidethecrown.substack.com is your place to be for all things Kansas City Royals. The Royals moved a couple players. They were relatively quiet over the deadline, but Lane Thomas and Chris Bubich got moved. We'll hear what Lesky feels about those moves in particular, but maybe more holistically, the Royals not really going all in on selling, despite a 46-67 record, as the Royals are kind of trying to toe that line between competing next year and getting a few pieces for those guys that they sent other places. Following David Lesky, who will join us on Zoom, we have a Top 10 Tuesday. Dan, I have actually done this Top 10 before, but now it is your turn. I did this a year ago this week, if I'm not mistaken, because I had recently moved. And you and I don't have a lot of things in common, but one thing that we do have in common is we both absolutely loathe moving.
Yes,
and,
hate it. It's the worst thing in the world. I'm not moving, by the way, but I went on a walk with my wife, and we live out kind of in the south part of town. We're walking up Naismith Trail, and there's this soccer field in these apartment complexes that I've always wanted to go check out. But you had to walk all the way through the apartment complexes. And by the way, I took pictures because I knew nobody would believe me. We saw 32 couches sitting out on the curb or in the parking lot or in dumpsters. 32. And I guess it is that time of year. People are, re-signing their leases. People are moving back in. People are moving out of their places, and they're just like, screw it, I don't want my couch anymore. But 32 couches in one apartment complex was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Like we saw like 4, and I was like, that's a lot of couches. 4. And then we kept walking, and we're like, there's another one. Oh my gosh, there's another one. There's another one right there. I have the pictures, and you can count them up. There's 32 couches that we saw throughout this entire. I mean, it was the most insane thing. So it begged me to like think back of all the times that I've moved, and I'm like, yeah, that is literally the worst thing. Like moving, I hate it so much. So I'm doing my top 10 worst things about moving, which again, I'd completely forgotten that you had done that.
Yeah.
But now this is, I guess, my take on it.
I wonder if I can still find, because I usually type my top 10s or my drafts, anything in my fantasy draft, in my draft folder for my email, and I'm very, very curious if I have my top 10 on here and how similar it would be because, that was a tough situation last year moving, and, we had a toddler, and, it's just not something that I love. And then, of course, we have the steepest of all driveways.
You do.
So that was not
It
fun
is
either.
about a 50-degree angle.
It's terrible.
It might be, like, it's at the point where I'm like, this is not safe.
Yeah, no, it was not good. Didn't have a ton of help moving that day either, so it was kind of a mess. I'm just saying.
You asked me,
that was
you
not
asked me
pointed.
to help, but
that
I was
not pointed
busy.
at all.
You took the day off, and you said, hey, I need you to run the radio show.
I don't believe
So I
that's
said,
what
okay.
happened. I think I said I need you to help me move.
While I was...
So my
Who would have
40-year-old
done the
brother,
radio show?
40-year-old brother and I were the only ones who were helping me move.
I was just
Point
so
is,
busy that day.
It was terrible.
Jeez.
I don't wish it upon my worst enemy. Not fun. But top 10 things that suck about moving, featuring Dan Courtwright coming later in the show. And then we're going to hear from the head football coach, Lance Leipold. He also spoke today wearing a good-looking red shirt, red hat. He's always got the top-tier Jayhawk garb. So we'll hear
dripped
from...
out, as the kids say.
We'll hear from Coach Leipold, and then we're going to close out the show with our next Kansas City Chiefs opponent outlook as we look at the Los Angeles Football Rams, who the Chiefs actually play here in about 11 days on the preseason side of things as the Rams come to the City of Fountains. But KC will be heading to the City of Angels in week 13, I believe it is.
Yes.
After you're at the Bills, you're at the Rams, and then after that, you're at the Bengals. So not a fun stretch.
Game 12, week 13.
For the Chiefs, and we'll break down the Rams, the Super Bowl favorites right now after they acquired Myles Garrett. And, of course, they did not win the Super Bowl last year.
No.
Cooper Kupp got his revenge in a big way as he won it with the Seattle Seahawks. They knocked off the Rams, and they knocked off the Patriots. Patriots, just a terrible, terrible representative from the AFC East. I would never tell Brian Haney or Trey a lot of that, but they were not very good and somehow made it all the way to the Super Bowl. But anyway, let's get into KU football. If you saw a little bit earlier today on our socials, Dan Courtwright was out at practice, and he posted a few clips of the guys getting after it. I mean, it wasn't the craziest of highlights or hurdles or amazing catches or anything like that, but football is back at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Kansas Nation on Facebook, at the Kansas Nation on YouTube.
Yeah, check us out. I'm always posting content, going to be doing that all throughout fall camp, just posting clips of different guys that I think are doing well, or honestly just the best videos that I take, because I had an awesome video of Nick McMillan catching a ball, but somebody walked right in the way, and I was like, come on, man. It was horrible.
The cross you must bear.
I know, right? It's just, it's a hard day at the old podcast factory. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this KU football fall camp and kind of, maybe some observations that I saw. Granted, it's day one, right? So you're not going to see a lot of stuff. I'm not going to look into it too much. Isaiah Marshall was running with the ones, but granted, it was like ones with routes on air, and sometimes there was two quarterbacks running with routes on air, and, you had Isaiah Marshall throwing to, Jalen Butler or Najee Cox on one side, and then Cole Ballard throwing to some other guys on the other side. So I'm not going to look too far into it, but there was a segment really quick where Isaiah Marshall was running with the ones. I would imagine tomorrow they're probably going to have Cole Ballard running with the ones, right? So, again, nobody knows. Don't ask me. I don't know. I still think Cole Ballard is going to be the guy, but it could be Isaiah Marshall. Don't take what I say as gospel, I guess, if you will.
I don't think you have to worry about people.
I don't think you. Yeah, no. I don't think anybody should nor will. That's with everything, not just regarding KU football. It's really, really everything that I talk about. Anyway, so that was interesting to see. I thought Isaiah Marshall's arm looked okay, better than I remembered, and then Cole Ballard's arm, I think, looked a little worse than I remembered. He was hitting guys behind him a little late on some balls. Isaiah Marshall was late on some balls as well, but some nice zip on it too. I thought Chase Jenkins looked pretty good. I mean, I thought his arm looked pretty good. I thought Jalen Mason's arm looked pretty good as well. So, the quarterbacks look fine. Deshaun Haneke's younger brother, Connor Haneke, by the way, on the team as a quarterback, but wearing number 20. So
don't see that too often.
No, you don't see that too often. And I actually talked to Henry about it, and he said, if you look at the roster, like there really were just no numbers left. So they're like, I guess you're going to have 20. But hey, Doug Flutie made it work. Jared Lorenzen made it work. John Hadel, another example. Otto Graham wore 60. So, nothing to scoff at, I guess, if you're Connor Haneke. But I thought the quarterbacks looked fine. I thought the wide receivers looked crisp in their route running. I think Najee Cox looked pretty good. A couple of injury updates. We kind of knew this a little bit. We didn't really report on it until it was confirmed, but Trayvon McAlpine will be out for the entirety of this season, which makes a lot of sense because if he were to come back, let's say Lance had talked about, he said he's ahead of schedule, right? But if he were to come back, let's say in November, play the last 2 games, then he's not able to get that extra year of eligibility for the upcoming year.
Yeah,
so
Coach Leipold said they did file a waiver already.
Yes, so it makes sense for them to be like, all right, Trayvon, you're not playing this entire year, and instead of having you healthy for the last 2 years and then no more eligibility, or last 2 games and no more eligibility, instead we're going to sit you for this entire year and play you for the entirety of next year, which, I'm okay with that. And I think he's going to be a nice addition for next year. But it really sucks because, you thought Trayvon McAlpine was going to be that starter, that number 1 guy, kind of in the trenches at that nose tackle position. I mean, he is really good. Obviously played on a college football playoff team from last year in Tulane. So, yeah, I mean, that one kind of stings a little bit. Also, Justin Thurman. I mean, you know how heartbroken I am about this. Justin Thurman, I guess, tore his Achilles, which really unfortunate. So he's going to be out for the rest of this year. But that's only good for me to push my agenda that he would have been the starter.
That's true.
Now we'll never know.
Probably, and this is not disrespectful to Justin Thurman, he's probably RB5.
Yes.
So that's not as big of a hit as Trayvon McAlpine, because you look, and Kansas is, of course, losing the law firm of Withers and Dunn, talking about up front defensively. You do have Blake Harold, a guy we're really high on. We've been building him up all offseason. He is set to have a big year, I believe, as is Marcus Calvin, who did not have a barbell in his high school
You're kidding.
gym. Yeah, did you know that?
No,
Isn't
what?
that crazy?
This is news to me.
Redshirt junior Marcus Calvin, and Harold is also a junior. And then you have some strong up-and-comers that you're excited about, like Naquan Carter and Kevin Otis. But you're going to need the transfers who came in to contribute up front to do just that with Noah McAlpine. And again, you'll hear Coach Leipold a little bit later in the show give some more information on that. But Jabril Conde out of Grand Valley State and Biggie Smalls out of UAB, those guys were brought in. Remember Trayvon, he was initially at Texas Tech and then transferred to Tulane, and he's a guy that was highly sought after, and Kansas, gave him some money to come here and play, and hopefully they'll get McAlpine next year. But with Withers and Dunn gone, that's going to be important that Kansas creates the pressure up front. Again, we like the playmakers we have on the outside and Harris and Brinkley, but in terms of playing complementary football, those guys are going to have to get a push because, as we've talked about throughout, KU overall did not get enough pressure on the quarterback and just wasn't quite good enough all 3 phases last year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, when you have a guy like Alex Bray who is has really good size to him, and I think didn't get enough play from last year. He got a little bit of play last year, but I think he's going to be able to take a big step up this year. Leroy Harris, obviously, we continue to talk about how NFL ready he is probably right now. And then on the other side, you do have David Santiago, who transfers in from Michigan State, who I think is going to be a nice addition and is going to be able to get that pressure. But, I mean, Nick Springer talked about it yesterday, the fact that you didn't get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. You didn't get the turnovers that you needed, and you were terrible on third down. I mean, there was a lot of holes in this defense from last year that you anticipate that they'll take that step forward, right, with the returners in the secondary with Taylor Davis and Austin Alexander and Jalen Todd, with those guys who are going to be up front, with Blake Harold stepping into his really second year of being the impact caliber player that we know he can be, with Leroy Harris, again, trying to make a statement to make it to the NFL, with David Santiago coming in. I think you're going to improve on all aspects, and with Trey Lathan coming back and this stellar group of transfers that you have coming into this linebacker core, right? You really love this group of linebackers coming back with Trey Lathan only continuing to step up into this leadership role and getting better in his last year here at Kansas. So, yeah, I think this defense is going to, vastly improve. It sucks that you lose Trayvon McAlpine, but at the same time, you feel okay. You also have Jalen Adkins, who transferred in from Coffeyville late, so that's just another nice additional depth piece that you have sort of at the defensive tackle position. And DK McDonald likes to switch some things around. Sometimes we'll see a 3-man front. Sometimes we'll see a 5-man front. And, we heard Lance Leipold talk about it a little bit today. But, moving some things around and figuring out those rotational pieces, I think is going to be huge for this fall camp. And I have some confidence in this defense heading into this year.
The other injury news on the negative side that you brought up was Justin Thurman. And, of course, he probably wouldn't have been a guy that saw more than a couple snaps a game at most, being, in all likelihood, your 5th-string running back. But that brings us to the good news in terms of injury, which is the fact that Jalen Dupree was out there. And again, you'll hear more from Coach Leipold, but I don't remember, since I've been a Kansas football fan, a running back room being this deep. I mean, have we talked about that before? Because a couple years ago, in the Devin Neal years, you really liked having Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw. And Highshaw wasn't always 100% healthy, but you liked the pieces you had. Savion Morrison got a little bit of run. Kai Thomas had a couple nice games for Kansas back in the Liberty Bowl year. But these are three real guys that Kansas has, not counting Corey Amakri, who people are really high on as a redshirt freshman. I think Amakri will be fourth on the depth chart. But you have two kind of bruisers, one who's 6'1", 230 in Yasin Willis. We are very high on him. Jalen Dupree is listed at 6 foot 215, and again, that's the guy who was injured in the spring. Coach Leipold said he's back out there. It was good to see him out there. And then Edwards is, sometimes people think that this is a slight, but he's more of a scat back. I mean, you just look at him from a size perspective. He's 5'9", 175. Now, he's a really good player, and we've seen that throughout his college career, and he's going to play – I don't know what the percentage of snaps is for this KU offense, but if I had to guess, Edwards will be out there for 60% of the snaps because, you are going to use Willis and Dupree as well. But in terms of depth, when you throw in Amakri, even losing Thurman, this is a really deep running back room for Kansas, and they should provide more than the running backs did last year.
Yeah, I think in terms of depth, right, because you did have Neal, Highshaw, and Morrison. And Savion Morrison, I thought, really was going to be a nice player for Kansas. So you had those big three. But, yeah, when you look at this one, I mean, you have Dylan Edwards and Jalen Dupree and Yasin Willis. I think all three of those guys are going to get a lot of snaps. And then, like you said, you have Corey Amakri. You have John Kelly. You have Michael Johnson. You had Justin Thurman, who obviously is injured. But I think in terms of total number of guys, you have 8 running backs on this roster, including, going all the way down to Jack Reeves. I really think that 5, maybe 6 of them are true, like RB1 talent amongst Division I teams, and you have, 8, realistically 7 guys on this roster in this running back room who could, at some point, you could feasibly see being impact players for this Kansas squad. So, yeah, the running back room is super, super deep. And the way that Andy Kotelnicki likes to utilize the running backs, you'll see some different sets where you have 3 running backs out there at the same time, or 2, or whatever it may be. He likes to utilize the tight ends, too, get some tighter sets as well. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see where he plugs and plays these guys. And we've talked about it. You always tease me because I bring this up a lot. But Dylan Edwards in the passing game, we might see him running in the slot sometimes, while you see Yasin Willis and Jalen Dupree playing a 2-back set with Dylan Edwards playing a slot receiver, right? You have 3 running backs out there, but really you have 2 lined up as a true running back. So these guys are really versatile. You can put them and plug and play them kind of really anywhere. And Andy Kotelnicki's so creative in the way that he utilizes the talent in twisting the sponge and getting as much talent out of these guys as possible, that I think that this running back room is probably – I mean, he's looking at this. His eyes are lighting up. He's like that wolf in the cartoon where they're like bugging out. It's like, ooga, because he's so excited to play around with this running back room and the tight end room as well. All of these different skill position players are going to be so easily moldable and be able to be successable in this style of offense.
And you know who else could line up potentially as a running back?
Pickett.
Cam Pickett.
That's right.
Yeah, using him as a running back could be something that
okay
Kotelnicki could look into. So we're going to hear from Cam Pickett and Trey Lathan next segment, but before we kick it to break, other piece of news out of KU athletics that came out today, the Players Era securing a 5-year extension with KU basketball through 2030-2031, one of the most, I guess, popular at this point multi-team events is the Players Era, and they called Kansas one of the most prestigious and historic intercollegiate basketball programs in North America. We already knew that, but that's very exciting that KU now officially will be participating in the event 2030-2031. So again, that's a 5-year extension. They're going to take place in Vegas this upcoming season. As we know, KU will be a part of the Players Era 8, which is the week before Thanksgiving, November 17th through 19th. And then the Players Era 16 will take place Thanksgiving week, November 24th through 28th. The venues that are hosting this event, Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandalay Bay and T-Mobile Arena. KU will now be committed to staying in this tournament alongside 4 of the last 5 NCAA champions, which includes KU, Michigan, Florida, and Baylor. Again, this is a great NIL earning opportunity for the University of Kansas basketball program. They won a lot of money last year, $300,000, I think it was, for KU, getting second place, technically with a 3-0 record in Vegas. But here's what Seth Berger, the Players Era CEO, said, quote, "We're grateful to have Kansas, one of the preeminent collegiate basketball programs, return for the next several years. It's an extraordinary testament to what we're building here with Players Era, a competition that delivers an exceptional experience for both fans and student athletes alike in an atmosphere that feels like March and November." End quote. He would go on to thank Travis Goff, Bill Self, Sean Lester, etc. Coach Self said, quote, "The Players Era commitment to college basketball has been very impressive. They have brought in high-level teams, which creates great matchups during the pre-conference season. The Players Era has also produced great NIL opportunities for our players. Being locked in through the 2030-31 season is a reinforcement of the direction of the Players Era. Not only is it great for our players, but it allows our fans to plan vacations to come cheer on the Jayhawks," end quote. So this is a big deal, especially because we've talked a lot about other MTEs that might come about. The Diamond Cup, we know Kansas is potentially going to be participating in. And that, of course, might leak into the exhibition season. And we're seeing the exhibition season become a bigger part of the schedule as well, with KU this upcoming season hosting Louisville and Duke. So I think that'll eat up one, maybe two of the regular season games. But this is a three-game, MTE, where Kansas is now committed for 5 additional years. You know you're going to face good teams. Kansas is always going to schedule more difficult. And like Coach said, it's going to be cool for fans knowing that they can count on KU being in this preeminent event year in and year out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that I think about whenever I really think about the Players Era is the fact that they're ahead of their time. Because you still have the Maui Invitational, you still have all these different MTEs that aren't for money, and the Players Era is like, hey, come and play for us, and we'll give you money if you wind up winning. I'm surprised that nobody else has really kind of taken this step forward, but this is a big thing for Kansas to be a part of, obviously, in terms of the NIL. So you're playing for money essentially, and a grand prize at the end. So the basketball is going to be better, and yeah, I think this is obviously a big thing to have the Players Era be so involved in love having Kansas be a part of this, because Kansas is such a big national brand, and I think that's only going to grow the Players Era. I think it's only going to grow interest in KU basketball as well, and the more that you're involved in things like this, the more likely you are to honestly land some recruits and hey, we have an opportunity. I know we're giving you this amount of money. We have an opportunity for you to make a lot more money too in the Players Era tournament. So yeah, I love the fact that Kansas is going to be involved in this through the 2031 season. But again, yeah, I just think that more MTEs need to, and granted, I know that money doesn't just grow on trees, but at the same time, I think it's important this is one of the next steps for college athletics to make these MTEs relevant again, because more teams are going to be like, well, yeah, we love the Maui Invitational, but we can go over here and play for money. So I want the Maui Invitational to start having money up for grabs, or the one in Atlantis, or whatever other MTEs there are during Feast Week, because for you, I know Feast Week is your favorite time of year. If that goes away because now no teams are really wanting to play in these MTEs anymore because they're not for money, I hope this is the next step to kind of bolster it up and make Feast Week continue to be relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Kansas is a part of so many of these marquee matchups in the non-conference season. CBS Sports Classic, that's another thing that Kansas has signed on. Multi-year agreement. This year, it's KU against Ohio State, Madison Square Garden. That's Saturday, December 19th. And, of course, Kansas is going to have marquee home and homes. Those might be going away quicker than we want, because you don't see them as often with the expansion of all the MTEs. But, yeah, Players Era is going to be on there for 3 games in the non-con every year. You've got the Champions Classic. Kansas is going to continue to have a game in that every year. And like I said, in the future, the Diamond Cup as well, which could mean a couple of regular season games as well for KU. So continuing to schedule difficult, continuing to get great non-conference opportunities are the Jayhawks. All right, we're talking KU football more after this. We're going to hear from a couple of Jayhawks, wide receiver Cam Pickett and linebacker Trey Lathan. That's all coming up next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Yo, this is Paul Pierce, and you're watching Kansas Nation.
grass is still growing, and so are the savings at Heinen. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $600 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with approved credit. Offer ends August 31st. For details and big savings, see Heinen Repair in Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
At the heart of a city lies the restless, the visionaries, the bold. From redefining events to guiding local youth, providing lifelines of industry, or reshaping wellness across the region, you deserve a financial partner that matches your ambition. At Meritrust, we handle the finances, so you can take care of the bold. Meritrust Credit Union. Business, banking, bold.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
You know the feeling? The fieldhouse gets loud, the chant starts low, and the Jayhawks bring the energy. That is Lawrence. Meritrust Credit Union thinks your money deserves that same feeling. A team in your corner that's pulling for you, win or lose, season after season. Financial well-being isn't just something they offer, it's why they exist. First car, first home, first business. Whatever's next in your money story, they are right around the corner at 6th and Wakarusa here in Lawrence. Real people making real decisions locally. Meritrust Credit Union is the official financial well-being partner of Kansas Athletics. Stop by the branch or visit meritrust.org, federally insured by the NCUA. Day one of Kansas football fall camp. Got to hear from Coach Leipold and a couple KU players after their first day of camp. Let's hear from wideout Cam Pickett, who spoke to the media earlier today.
And what was it like being back out there for the first day?
It felt great. You know, that's what we're here for, to play football. We spent a lot of time in the offseason, you know, repping plays, getting everything together, a lot of rehearsals, so it was good to, you know, finally get out there and actually do it.
What's it like knowing that as a big, you're a month away from being out there on the field for the first game?
It's exciting. Got a lot I want to do out there, a lot we want to do as a team, so, you know, take the next couple weeks and put it all together.
And then just how would you say the wide receivers are looking at this point so far?
I think we've grown a lot over the offseason. A lot of young guys, they're hungry to learn. I think we've been doing a good job teaching them that, just getting better every day.
Where have you seen this group grow the most from last year to now within the offseason workouts? I know it's first day of camp, but what do you think the biggest growth has been?
I think just our intentionality. You know, we're not going through the motions. We're focusing on all the details of the plays, the little nuances, the things that really make a difference on Saturday.
And then now having some experience, what does it take to be a successful wide receiver group in the Big 12?
Just the details for sure, and really just confidence. Going out there, playing fast, playing strong, and just knowing we can make plays.
Again, with Andy Kotelnicki coming back running the plays, is there kind of an adjustment period to learning his style of offense, I guess, and how are you kind of taking that in?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an adjustment period, but I feel like that was more in the spring when we first got here and over the winter. Like I said, we spent a lot of time over these last couple months, you know, preparing for today, so that it's not really like a first practice for us. It's just, you know, going out there and doing everything we did and pass now.
From your viewpoint, how are things going with the quarterbacks? You get a good chance to work with them, but what's your perspective on that?
It's going great. We got, you know, good quarterbacks in that room, a good quarterback battle going on. We've been getting good work with everybody in there.
Cam, for you, what's one thing that you feel that you worked on after last season to get ready for the spring up now right now going to camp?
For me personally, I would say, one, growing as a leader, and also just working on second level releases. I feel like I've grown a lot in that way.
Cam, what do you make of Coach K and his system and what he's
I feel like he's very confident in what he does. He believes in his offense. We believe in his offense. We work a lot together as a team to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I feel like there's a lot of trust we have.
He's known for being pretty creative.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to spill anything, but have there been any eye-opening moments where you're like, we're going to run that?
I mean, it's some stuff, take it back to some high school youth football days, just find any way to get you the ball and make a play. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, that's great. Have you had a lot of one-on-one talks with him, just
how
you can be used and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
And was that him seeking you out, or you seeking him out, or how'd that go? Obviously, it was probably back in the
Yeah. It kind of goes both ways. What he sees in me as a player, as an athlete, and also goals that I have too. So it's both.
Cool. And Coach Leipold was just saying, you were talking about the defense has improved a lot. I wonder what your perspective of that is.
Yeah, I said they do a lot of communicating. You see, we move around a lot as an offense, and we can see them communicating and picking up on different things and just talking a lot the secondary.
You mentioned Coach K's confidence. How does that show up? How do you notice that?
Our meetings, kind of just the way he presents the meetings, the way he explains things to us, and we go out and practice, and the plays that we run work, and so that builds trust for us to know that what he's talking about is working.
Anything else for Cam? All right, thanks, guys.
That's KU wide receiver Cam Pickett. He's gone through a lot of changes in his career, of course, transferring over from Ball State. And now you've got a new group of wide receivers in that room. Of course, Keaton Quebeca comes back, Tate Nagy as well. But you've got a new 1-2 compared to last year, completely different set of guys, and of course a new offensive coordinator as well. That's a big story, and you heard a lot of questions from media members earlier today about kind of the adjustment with Coach K, because that's a lot that's going on, and Pickett's a guy, because of his versatility, who's going to be asked to do a lot.
Yeah, I think when you look at what Kotelnicki does, I mean, Cam Pickett to me is the prototypical kind of guy that Andy Kotelnicki wants in this kind of offense. I think you're going to see him utilized in a ton of different ways. And he was asked about it. He said, it's been a lot of fun, making that adjustment period. He said the adjustment period was really in the spring whenever he, came in and started to learn, obviously going through the entire summer, learning some of the stuff as well. And, now being able to grasp it all and going through these installs. Yeah, you're in week, or I guess day one of fall camp really right now, and the installs are going to come along, and you do have the Long Island game where you're not going to have the entire playbook installed probably by that point. It's probably going to be more so in the Missouri game where you see the entirety of the playbook kind of installed at that point. But yeah, I think Cam Pickett, I mean, he seems like he's ready to go, and like you said, gone through a lot of changes, obviously coming to Ball State, and then last year was his first year at Kansas. Now this year, with all the turnover that's happened in the wide receiver room, he's really the guy that everybody's kind of looking at. It's him and Keaton Quebeca, really, but Cam Pickett made the most impact of last year of those two guys. So, yeah, Cam Pickett is going to be that number one guy who's going to have to take a step up in that leadership role, and I think you're starting to see that from him. So I think he's primed to have a big year this year, and we continue to talk about it. I mean, I would be shocked if he's not the leader in receptions for this year, because he feels like kind of that fail-safe Luke Grimm kind of hot routes, 5-and-outs, stick routes, whatever that may be. He's not going to beat you over the middle. He can if he wants to, but he's going to be the safe option that you're going to see a lot of dump-offs to.
Yeah, and again, you have both Pickett and Edwards who can provide a lot, I think, in the Kotelnicki type offense. And again, a lot of times for Kansas, the past couple seasons, it's come down to fundamentals. I felt like the first few years Coach Leipold was here, Kansas was so fundamentally sound. And then the last couple of years, you had Jameel Croft stepping out of bounds, and you had gas on special teams, and you had more drop passes. You had drop passes from the defense and what could have been game-changing plays. Kansas just wasn't making enough winning plays the last couple seasons. So you're still going to need to do all of the winning type plays. You're going to need to haul in the passes. You're going to need to make sure you don't have missed assignments offensively as well, and be opportunistic on the defensive side. But it's nice having those guys who can make big play capability as well. Another guy who was asked a lot and talked a lot about leadership earlier today was the guy who's really looked at as the quarterback of the defense, Trey Lathan, KU's returning linebacker. And here's Trey earlier today.
How you doing?
Trey, how was the first day of camp?
It was nothing but a blessing. Excited to be back out there with the fellas. Excited to, finally have balls flying around, competing against one another. So definitely a blessing.
So many new guys in the linebacker room as opposed to last year. I guess how much growth have you seen in all of them compared to the winter as opposed to now?
Seeing a tremendous amount of growth. Coming in, transfers and stuff. We do a lot of things different here. So just seeing them buy into the process, buying our culture is, something that we strive to do. Embracing guys, when they come from other programs, and just seeing them do that, it's been awesome to see them grow. So.
And Coach Leipold talked a lot about the improvement he's seen from your defense. Mm-hmm. What have you seen?
I just seen, like I said, a lot of dudes who are buying in the process. It's one thing about college football. Transfers. A lot of young dudes just buying in the process. And a lot of dudes, they don't do that. So that's what we do here. We buy into the process. It's the process. The goals and everything else comes. After the process. So just definitely seeing that.
Are there areas on defense where you feel like your group is noticeably better than maybe last year?
Definitely our leadership. I would say a lot of guys, hold each other accountable. Not giving guys, the opportunity, just a slack. We didn't have that last year, and we didn't have, a good foundation of leadership. So definitely leadership.
How quick was that part of the conversation for you when you decided to return? Not just about your role in leadership, but also about, hey, this defense has to get better. I mean, did you talk about that right away, or was
right after the season, after our exit meeting, that's one thing that we established, that we needed leadership, something that we lacked, something that could have helped us definitely in the back end of the season.
Heading into year 2 of Coach DK, how have you seen him grow as a coach in his position?
He's grown a lot. Like last year, it was his first year, so it was a lot of trial and error. But there's a lot of things that I feel like he's gotten under under a system. A lot of things that he implemented, things that he wanted us to do. So he's grown a lot, and he's willing to go to bat for us, and he's gonna put us in a position to make plays.
Are there any specifics you could mention, 1 or 2 ways that he's improved, like you were talking about?
Definitely with just like situation awareness things and stuff like that. Just knowing he brought us some plays last year. Some plays we shouldn't have called. Some things that we should have called right then and there. So definitely situation awareness.
The speed on defense keeps getting talked about. It has been since spring, since December. Where's that in your eyes? I mean, you got guys flying around, and are you a fast defense, you think?
Yeah, I think for sure we're a much faster defense. Like I said, we got a lot of dudes transferred in, but a lot of those guys, that can roll. A lot of guys who are willing to fly the ball and make plays.
Sure.
So.
When that happens, when guys around you or around everybody get faster noticeably, does that inspire you to dig in and get faster too? Yeah. It
for sure does. Like when you see a guy like next to you passing you up, it just like damn, like I can't let him do that to me. So it inspires you to go faster.
And where's your speed right now?
You ask me personally, I think I'm the fastest on the team. That's just me though.
Any position?
Any position. That's just me. Yeah.
And that wasn't true last year?
I think it was true last year too. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the update.
You got it.
Anything else for Trey? All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Undoubtedly the captain of the linebacker room, Trey Lathan there. Of course, he transferred over from West Virginia before last season, and at one point there was murmurings that he was going to enter the transfer portal, decided not to. And Kansas loaded up on linebackers in the portal. Of course, they're not going to have Landon Watson. Coach Leipold talking about that a little bit later. We knew that probably 6 weeks ago that Landon Watson was not going to be a part of the room, did not get granted an extra year of eligibility. But you have a lot of talented guys, Bam Crouch, Quincy Davis, guys that people have been really high on. And I've talked about this before, but when Kansas football was really bad, they did not have good linebackers. There were a few exceptions, one-offs like Joe Deneen Jr. and Ben Heaney, but otherwise Kansas could not compete with other linebacking rooms in the Big 12 Conference. But this year, it seemed like that was the position that they hit hardest in the portal, Dan.
Yeah, I think so. And, with Trey Lathan coming back, obviously that's massive, and that's going to be the guy that everybody kind of looks to. But, when you look at all of the new faces in this program with Bam Crouch, Josh Galbraith coming in as a freshman, and I think that he has a real shot to kind of, maybe make an impact on special teams and work his way into being one of those rotational guys because he was so highly sought after. Obviously a Lawrence High native, but got a ton of Power 4 offers, Texas A&M, Michigan, of those kind of likes. could potentially be one of those guys. But then you look at Quincy Davis. I mean, everybody's been ranting and raving about how good Quincy Davis has been throughout the spring and throughout this summer. So really excited to see what he can be able to provide. Jerron Willis comes over from South Carolina. I'm really excited to see what he can do as well. You also have some guys who are a little bit younger, and Joseph Credit, who, again, coming in as a freshman. You also have Malachi Curvey, who everybody was ranting and raving about him last year. Now he's a redshirt freshman this year. This is his time to really kind of make that impact and, hopefully can be one of those guys that we see in the special teams and, again, work his way into hopefully a starting spot. Jabril Alameen is another guy as well. So I like this linebacker room quite a bit, but it all starts with Trey Lathan. He's really the bell cow, the guy who is the head of the snake, if you will, a phrase we like to use with Trey Lathan and everybody like that. But yeah, again, the quarterback of the defense, and he's really going to have to take a massive step up. And I think that with the talent level that he has and the playmaking ability that he has and playing that hard-nosed style of defense, because he's not that big bruising Ray Lewis style of linebacker, but he can be, right? He can play and fill up those gaps down low in the trenches, and he's really good in coverage as well. So I love the upside that Trey Lathan provides. And again, going into year 2 with DK McDonald, we talked to him a little bit about that as well. Just being more comfortable with him growing as a coach, with him continuing to grow as a player. I really like Trey Lathan and what he's going to be able to provide for this team. Yeah, talked a lot about how leadership's important, and at his exit interview last year, that was one thing. Hey, we need more leadership on the defense in general, and Lathan's going to be leaned on a lot on that front. Hey, we're talking Royals baseball with David Lesky when he joins the show via Zoom after this on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
Hi, my name is Augusto Mungarrieta from Kansas Baseball, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Days of summer sales event at Family Leisure. Deep discounts store-wide. It's hot and you need a pool. All remaining pools are priced to move. Buy now and save big. Pools as low as $19.99. Patio furniture, wicker, sling, poly, and more. Huge in-stock selection. Up to 50% off. If you've been thinking about getting a new patio set, now is the time. Melt away stress. Great deals on spas, swim spas, and cold plunge tubs. Now featuring Fully trampolines. Dog Days of Summer sales event going on now at Family Leisure.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at KansasNation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and KansasNation.com. KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
John Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you here for Rock Chalk Sports. We're going to be joined very shortly by David Lesky inside the Crown to talk all things Royals baseball. Got to tell you about our founding partners, though, over at Crown Automotive. Give them a visit on South Iowa here in Lawrence. If you're in the market for a new Toyota, new Volkswagen, Miles Schneier and his team can help you out at Crown or crownautomotive.com if you want to browse their selection on that front as well. But urge you to go over, check them out again on South Iowa. They will get you in the vehicle that you need over at Crown Automotive. All right, let's bring on David Lesky from Inside the Crown. David, thanks again for coming on as you do every Tuesday. A lot going on this past week. There was a lot of losing on the ball field, and then there was a lot of moving pieces around. In fact, Major League Baseball as a whole, I feel like this was a really, really busy trade deadline. Let's start with the two Royals who got moved, though. Two most notable Royals and Lane Thomas and Chris Bubich. Lane Thomas goes to the Braves. The Royals get a couple right-handed pitchers. Then they get another right-handed pitcher from the Dodgers for Chris Bubich. Why don't you break down those two moves, and then we'll kind of ask you more holistically about the deadline for the Royals.
Yeah, Lane Thomas went on Saturday in the middle of a game, which is always a little bit odd. You know, I think we joke about the hug watch, but there was a legit hug watch for the Royals, which we haven't seen in a while. Yeah, he got pulled in the fourth inning on Saturday, and then going to the Braves with Bailey Falter. So if the Royals got nobody back, it was a good deal. But they did get back a couple of pitchers. Lucas Braun, right-handed pitcher, Carter Holton, lefty. I found this interesting that in the press release the Royals sent out, they listed Carter Holton first, even though Lucas Braun is ostensibly the prize. Carter Holton was listed first. He's a guy, I went back through some notes from the 24 draft, which is when Holton got picked in the second round out of Andy. And his name was all over them from people I talked to before the draft, that the Royals liked him, they scouted him, blah, blah, blah. I think what happened ultimately is they took David Shields in the second round, and then by the time they got their next pick, Holton was gone. And so they couldn't take him. But I do think that had he been there, and I think it was a little ways down the road still, but I think had he been there, they would have taken him as well. So I'll actually start with Holton because he's really interesting. He's a lefty. First start after his first start in pro ball, after the Braves drafted him, Tommy John. And so he finally came back this season. He's been pretty good this year. He hasn't walked a ton. He's got some strikeouts. He is a guy who's probably like 93 to 95. I've seen I haven't seen it. I've seen reports that he can get up to 98. He has a really good slider. His curve is good enough. And his changeup is kind of getting there. Pitch mix wise, I think he can be a starter. There are some questions mechanically. His release point is he doesn't replicate it enough, leads to control issues. There is a reliever risk here with Holton, but I think that's a really interesting pickup. And then Braun's a guy who it kind of sounds like we won't see him this year in the big leagues, although, I don't think you can count on any living and breathing pitcher in the Royals organization to not be in the big leagues right now. But they're going to start him in AAA. But he's a guy who I've seen it on multiple sites. They called him the kitchen sink starter. And I think that's doing him a little bit disservice. He does throw 92, 93. He reaches 95, 96. The thing is, he has 6 pitches. He has 6 pitches. He throws at least 10% of the time. Starts with a cutter, good cutter. I don't think there's a whole lot there. I would probably shelf his sinker if I'm the Royals. We'll see what they do, maybe, or at least pull back on it. His four-seamer is not bad. I mean, he's a guy who, look, you're not getting a number 2 or a number 3, and maybe not even a number 4, but it's valuable. We've seen this year. I mean, they've had to go to the scrap heap to get Randy Dobnak, who's been excellent, but you don't want to go to the scrap heap to get Randy Dobnak if you don't have to. And so that's what they got with him. The Bubich deal, I was a little bit surprised by, because I'm not shocked that somebody took a chance on him. But Carlos Duran is a big arm. I mean, you could, if you were just watching the stuff and not seeing who was pitching, you might think it's Steven Cruz on the mound. Average is 97. He's reached as high as 99.5 with his four-seamer. His slider is really good, big-time spin rate. He does walk guys, and that's an issue. I think from the Dodgers' perspective, they looked at Chris Bubich and said, "Hey, we don't have to add him to the 40-man because he's on the 60-day IL. We do need to clear a spot on the 40-man. So if we trade a pitcher on the 40-man, and Duran is or was for them, and now is for the Royals, if we trade a pitcher on the 40-man, we can clear a spot." And the Royals had interest in Duran last year. JJ mentioned it in his Zoom last night, yesterday evening, I guess. And yeah, so I think they did pretty well. And then there's one other guy, Nolan Hoffman from the Phillies. There was a DFA deal. He was DFA'd. I can't remember which one of their moves led to him being DFA'd, but one of them. And they picked him up. He's interesting too because the fastball doesn't have elite velocity, but a 119 expected average on it, 146 expected slug on it in AAA. He gets swing and miss. It's spin, it's movement, it's the vertical break, all that stuff that you hear about with fastballs that aren't 98 miles per hour. But it's one of those things. You need diverse arms in a bullpen, and the Royals have done a really good job of collecting high octane arms recently. I mean, they've already got Cruz. They brought up Beckway. Now he's on the IL because he's a Royal, and I think it's a rule. You have to be on the IL for a certain amount of time. And then Duran. And then they signed they acquired Nate Pearson also. But then Hoffman's kind of in the John Schreiber mold. And you need that variety of looks and arm angles and pitch types, I think, to be a successful bullpen. And I think Hoffman, he's going to be in AAA to start as well, but I think he'll get an audition this year too.
Yeah, and Duran, he's a guy who, I mean, feel free to expand on him because he definitely had good strikeout rate. If I read it correctly, 60-plus strikeouts and 42 and 2/3 innings, I think I saw. And that's something the Royals haven't had a lot of, a guy who generates swing and miss. And then probably not a coincidence as the Royals ended up getting, solely pitchers. It's no secret that the Royals have basically no bullpen, and they're confident in their young core offensively. So while there were some guys that people thought would get moved, didn't get moved, it seems like, what the Royals wanted to get out of trade deadline, the assets they were willing to part with, they got.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I don't know that they were necessarily saying we only want pitchers, and I know they weren't saying that. I do think that there was a focus on that because and there should have been, like you said, the offensive core is generally there. They wouldn't have said no to another bat, obviously, and I don't think they'll say no to another bat this winter. But from an organizational perspective, they're very clearly lacking in the upper levels, and that includes the major leagues on the pitching staff. And so, to go get three guys really, with Braun, Duran, and Hoffman, to go get three guys who can fill in at Omaha. I mean, you look at the Omaha roster. I'm going to miss somebody, and I don't mean any disrespect, but also they don't deserve a whole lot of respect. I mean, they went out, they signed Scott Alexander, they signed Scott Barlow, they signed Anthony Goes, they picked up Randy Dobnak. I mean, he's a guy who's come to the big leagues. They picked up Aaron Bummer, who's come to the big leagues. Now I'm curious. I have to look because it's not that I feel bad that I missed them, but I know I'm missing somebody who was a ridiculous pickup, and it was like, why are you? Oh, they picked up Dan Altavilla, who they had. 2 years ago, Jose Cuas they picked up. you're talking about a whole lot of veterans. Oh, Genesis Cabrera, who they've since released. Aaron Sanchez they released. I'm just going through the list. I don't need to do that, but they've been just farming for anybody who has ever pitched before, basically. And now they've got legitimate younger arms to slot in there who can help the team. Not just in a pinch this year, but over the next couple of years.
Yeah. David Lesky from Inside the Crown joins the show. And David, I guess, did it come as a surprise to you that the Royals didn't go full in on being absolute sellers? I mean, they're 46 and 67 right now. I guess, what are your thoughts in terms of that? Because not a lot of big-time moves in the Royals, wind up keeping a lot of guys that everyone kind of thought was on the trade block.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they didn't trade Waka. I'm not surprised they didn't trade Lugo. I talked to somebody on Sunday morning, I think, who does not work for the Royals, works for another team, doesn't care about the Royals. We just have a relationship. And I feel like I have to preface that because, they're blowing smoke. No, this guy doesn't care. He literally, we just talk. And he's like, yeah, if I'm the Royals and they're getting offered what I've heard they're getting offered, that's insulting for Waka. So no, I'm not surprised that didn't happen. The one I'm surprised about, John Schreiber, when you have a perfectly acceptable reliever who is on a now expiring contract because he will be a free agent after the season, in my opinion, I don't care what you get. You've got to get something for him. I don't care if it's a lottery ticket we never hear of again.
Yeah.
You got to do something. And there are two options with the guy who's becoming a free agent if you're losing. One option is you trade them. The other option is you extend them. If you extend John Schreiber, you are wrong. It's as simple as that. And I say that if they come out and say, hey, we've given John Schreiber 1 year and $4 million, okay, that's fine. You need so many relievers. I don't care if you do that. But are you telling me you couldn't have gotten John Schreiber for 1 year and $4 million on November 10th? Also, go get a lottery. This is the exception to the rule. but the Astros traded Josh Fields to the Dodgers and got Yordan Alvarez. Josh Fields. Do you guys know who Josh Fields is? Because the only reason I know is because he was traded for Yordan Alvarez.
Right.
Like that's the only reason I know who he is. He was I want to look this up
middling reliever.
Yeah, and middle reliever. It's a perfect way to put it. I mean, the year he was traded, this is wild to me. He had a 6.89 ERA for the Astros. Now, 20 strikeouts, 3 walks. The peripherals were there. He was pretty good for the Dodgers too. That year, the next year, the year after that. Great. They traded Yordan Alvarez for him. You just never know what that lottery ticket can come up with a guy. And so to sit on him, even if you do say, hey, we need arms, so we kept him and we're just going to go ahead and give him a deal for next year and not let him hit free agency. Okay, but you did wrong. And there is no world that not trading John Schreiber is right.
Yeah. That's a good point, and we'll see what goes on moving forward for the Royals in terms of transactions. It's been a nightmare season. There's no doubt about that. Supposedly, Bobby Witt Jr. will be back in the lineup tonight, 6-game homestand, 3 against the Twins.
Has that been announced?
But David, the Royals seem to be on this. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just asking if that's been announced yet. I saw they did DFA Andrew Velasquez yesterday, which they didn't announce, but I imagine that's for
Bobby.
Carlos Duran for his roster spot or for his 40-man spot. And then, they have not officially called up Bobby Witt Jr. Or not taken off the IL. But that the fact that they got rid of Velasquez says he's coming back tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can hope so because he at least is fun to watch in a season that otherwise has not been a lot of fun. But yeah, David, the Royals seem to be towing this line, and they've done this a lot. You've been a fan like I have for a long time. They seem to always hesitate fully selling, and I get it if they didn't get what they thought they should get in terms of return for guys like Walker and Luga. There's got to be a line for sure, but the Royals seem to want to make sure the fans know they still think they can compete in 2027. What has to happen, I guess, in the offseason, and this is probably a question 2 months from now, but when you're looking at 2027, we like the young offensive core. What has to happen for the Royals to get out, basically flush this season away and get back to where people thought they were before this season, which was a team ready to compete?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has to happen. I think that you look at the rotation, and Waka and Lugo are here, so they're staying. The rotation right now, because Luinder Avila now has a forearm strain. We'll see. I think he got tested yesterday. I imagine we'll get some answers from Q later today on that. But you're looking at right now, if you can't include Avila, it's Waka, Lugo, and Cameron. Stephen Kolek, they haven't said it. He's gonna have surgery. Again, we said last week, you don't get a second opinion if you like the first one. And he's going to have, they've said it. He's going down the surgery path. Bergert's out until midseason. Reagans is out until midseason. It's 3 starters right now. And even if Avila comes back, is he a starter? I don't know that answer. I still think no. So they have to acquire two big league starting pitchers who are at least as good and likely better than Michael Wacha. That is no easy task. Now, they were faced with a similar task after the 2023 season, and they had to acquire 2 starting pitchers who were at least as good or better than Brady Singer. They did it, and those 2 are still here, Wacha and Lugo. They made it look a lot easier than it is. So they've got to do that for starters, both literally and figuratively. But then they also have to fix the entire bullpen. I mean, I don't know how many blown saves they have. I don't really care the number, but I know their ERA in the 9th inning is above 7. People cite that all the time. I personally can count 12 games at least that I'm fairly confident. No, I'm almost positive that they would win if they had the 2025 bullpen in place. And you look at that record, 46 and 67. What happens if they have 12 more wins? They're 58 and 55. So, and I think that's in a playoff spot in the American League, or at least within a hair of it. So they've got to fix the bullpen. And what we don't know is Steven Cruz part of that answer. It looks like it. It does. Is Beck Way part of that answer? We are now on hold to find that out. It kind of looks like it, but we don't know. Is Carlos Duran? Don't know. Is Nolan Hoffman? Don't know. Can they fix Lucas Erceg? Don't know. And Daniel Lynch didn't get moved, so he looks like he's going to be part of that bullpen. Daniel Lynch has had a really good season. If you don't get strikeouts, you are volatile. You are more volatile than most relievers. And he started off really strong, but I wrote about it today. He's got 9 strikeouts in his last 26 innings. I mean, that is 1970s type stuff. And I know the results have been there, but my God, can you count on that? I don't know. And Nick Mears, is he going to come back? I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know. So they've got to build a bullpen. And I still think that they could use a middle of the order bat. Most teams can. I think if they go into next season with everybody healthy and on this offense, I think the offense is good enough if they fix the pitching staff. But there's a lot to fix on that staff. So, and look, I think that the line that JJ Piccolo drew was we're going to compete. And then if I want to complete that sentence, if I'm JJ Piccolo, in my head I'm going, and if we don't, I'm fired. I think that's, in my opinion, that's what's happened. Because if you say I'm going to prioritize 2027, you damn sure better prioritize 2027 and succeed at it, or else your job should be, not even in peril. It should be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. David Lesky, Inside the Crown. David, we got like 30 seconds left. I want to expand on this more next week, but we're up against a break. Are we playing baseball next year?
I think so, yeah. I mean, okay. You're going to see at least 150 games next year, in my opinion.
Okay.
Hey, that's a good number. That's a heck of a lot better than starting the season on July 24th like we did the COVID year. So I'll take what I can get. If it means forfeiting a week or two, then let's get the guys out there. But David Lesky, Inside the Crown, really appreciate your time as always. We'll talk more about the back part of this season next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
You got it. David Lesky joining the show. InsideTheCrown.substack.com. Give him a subscription. Hey, after this, it's a Top 10 Tuesday. That's next. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
I'm Tate Baldridge, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Hustle in and save on a Hustler mower from Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. The 2027s are already rolling in, so Heinen is making deals on 2026 Hustler mowers during their model year-end clearance sale. Financing options are available with approved credit. Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
The newest, biggest, baddest, greatest lawn equipment.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
Fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Big thanks to everybody watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube as well. I want to tell you about our partners over at Central Bank with Jayhawk Checking from Central Bank. Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life. Learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas. Member FDIC. Top 10 Tuesday. Dan, let's get into this.
Yeah, let's do it. I am not moving. You and I are not moving. But this is the time of year when we start to see the students getting back into Lawrence, and we're starting to see more moving trucks, more parents in town helping the kids with their moving. And the reason I'm doing this is because I had mentioned this. There's an apartment complex near my house that we walked through. There's like a soccer field in the apartment complex. And so we wanted to try to find the soccer field. So we walked through the apartment complex. And again, I have pictures that I can prove to you that during our walk through this apartment complex, we saw 32 couches on the curb or in dumpsters.
When I've moved in the past, I think I've only had to do that once with a couch. And it was because I put it on Facebook Marketplace and just nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like, do people just not want to load and haul it?
I think that was the case. And a lot of the couch, like I walked by them, and look, I'm a sucker for a good bargain. But I walked by all 32 of these couches. None of them were serviceable.
Oh, really?
If you will. Yeah, none of them were great. A lot of cushions were missing. A lot of them were, covered in like water because I believe it had either rained the night before or something. So a lot of them were really gross, covered in cat hair, dog hair, you name it.
Yeah.
So every single couch that we saw was not a good couch by any stretch of the imagination, and nobody wanted to move them. So that begs me to start thinking about, man, I remember that. I remember those days. I remember those days when I went, moving around, bouncing around different houses and apartments and different things like that. Ugh, just the worst. So now I'm doing my top 10 worst things about moving. Did you find yours, by the way? The one that you did?
I haven't found it yet.
You haven't found it?
I've got it on here somewhere, though. I know.
Might be in your old email.
Honestly, it could be. But yeah, I had a really good list. Well thought out.
Yeah.
Had some stabs at some people. I don't know. I'll keep searching for it.
The thing with you were like, hey, can you help me move? And I said, yes, I would love to help you move. And you said, well, actually, you got to do the show. So I said, all right. So
it wasn't
I did the show,
as
and then
much,
you moved, and then you made fun of me for not helping you move.
It wasn't as much as some other people. So
That's
you can
fair.
rest easy.
Understandable. Well, that's okay. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start it off with my top 10 worst things about moving. Number 10 on my top 10 worst things about moving is finding the boxes to put your stuff in. Going through the process of finding boxes, because more often than not, you don't have enough boxes. You don't have enough tubs. So guess what? You got to go to a store and buy tubs, or you got to go to Aldi and check in the back and see if they have any spare boxes. Like, I don't know how you accumulate boxes. I don't know where boxes come from.
Boxes come from the U-Haul store. Or Home Depot.
Oh, you can buy boxes at the
You buy
I
boxes.
never even thought. I've just accumulated boxes from different various large items that I've gotten in the mail.
Right.
And I've just had the same boxes.
I think some people have that, and that's very legitimate. And you just, they live in your garage. But yes, we have had to many times buy large, medium, small boxes from U-Haul.
So that's news to me. I didn't think boxes were things you could buy. I just thought they were things you accumulate over time.
You can buy anything, trust me.
You can buy boxes. This is news to me.
If you have money, you can be putting it to use.
Sure. I guess that makes sense. I bought tubs. Like I have those big plastic tubs.
Caitlin has a million of those from Target, and she just, they're a very important thing in her life.
But I don't have enough of them.
No.
Like all the tubs that I have right now are allocated to things that are in the tubs.
Right.
If I had to move tomorrow, I would have to go out and buy 10 new tubs.
You got to do it.
Or I would have to scour through alleyways and find 15 different boxes for me to put all my crap in.
Yeah, they sell boxes.
Okay. Well, this is news to me.
So now you know.
Do you have a box guy?
I don't have a box guy.
Can you give me the number of your box guy?
1-800 U-Haul, probably.
Okay.
They sell boxes.
Real quick. 1-800 U-Haul?
My wife loves
It's not enough
tubs
numbers.
because they have lids in them, which makes sense because that way if you get mice, they don't eat through the tubs like they eat through the boxes.
Sure. Yeah,
So
that's fair.
Which happened before.
I haven't had to personally deal with that, but I've had friends who have had to deal with mice chewing through the corners of the box and getting in their stuff. And
I've had that
all
as
over.
well. So you've had colleagues who've also dealt
colleagues,
with that.
yes, because you're not a friend. All right, number 9 on my top 10 worst things about moving, figuring out what you're going to throw away. Because you and I are maximalists, as you have often described both of us.
Yeah.
As you can tell by the desk. And honestly, if you've ever been to my house, you can tell by my house that I'm a maximalist. I have a lot of crap. But every time I've moved, I have to be like, I got to say goodbye to this toaster. I don't have any room for it. See you later, toaster. And I just toss it. Because and like, I'll do this with clothes. And I have a personal connection. This is so bad of me, and maybe it's a genetic thing because my parents are a little bit like this too. But like I get attached to materialistic items.
As do I.
Stuff, because like I have a bunch of like Emporia State football shirts.
Oh, I have all sorts of cool crap.
All my KU shirts, all my different shirts that I have. I just got rid of a shirt this year because I never got rid of it. It didn't fit me anymore, but I went skydiving in that shirt, and I wanted to keep that shirt because I went skydiving in it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
stupid.
your credential from the basketball tournament, you're not getting rid of that.
You should see. I actually hung it up in my garage.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
I have a big shelving unit in my garage, and I nail all of my credentials on there.
Yeah, that's cute.
Every credential I've ever gotten is up there. So again, like figuring out what you're going to throw away and what you're going to bring to your next place.
If our wives
that's the
had
worst.
a say in exactly what we keep, exactly what we throw away, we would no longer have any stuff.
I would not have
because
any stuff.
Caitlin, like I have some really cool like baseball cards and little trinkets and stuff that is just nostalgia.
Yeah.
There's a place for it. I don't really know where that place is. Certainly not in my house.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a place for it.
You and
if I were living, the single life,
we're
I had all
trinket
sorts
guys.
of cool stuff.
Yeah, we're trinket guys. I have. Thankfully, Piper has given me the garage and a shelf in the basement where I put all my trinkets and different knickknacks and tchotchkes and what's another synonym?
Whatchamacallits,
whoozy whatsits. I have some stuff like that. But again, if we ever move out of this house, guess where half that stuff's going? In the garbage.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because that's not necessarily my call. But
it was funny because when we started working here, all the stuff that Caitlin didn't want us to have at our house, she was like, "Oh, just take that to the studio."
Yeah, that's exactly what a good portion of the stuff you see on the desk is just crap that our significant others did not want in the house, which I love.
Is fun. This is awesome. This my dad donated this whiskey decanter.
Yeah,
this is awesome. My dad had this, and I always loved it. Had it on the bar. Yeah, dude. I don't know if there's still whiskey in there.
That goat statue that's right in front of your thing. Elijah got that for me as a gift.
We gotta
and Piper
load this
wanted
up.
me to throw it away. I said, no. I'm going to put that goat statue.
Big Lodge got us the bobbleheads as well.
Bobbleheads. Yeah.
Greenstein has contributed something up here. I feel like
there's some fun stuff.
Anyway, number 9.
Fun stuff. All right, number 8.
Number 8
on my top 10 worst things about moving is asking your friends to help because every time you ask a buddy to help you move, they're like, "Oh my gosh,
it's terrible."
I have to take out a portion of my Saturday to go help my buddy move for pizza and beer. That was one of my top 10 things that I'm too old for is helping somebody move for pizza and beer.
Yeah, you want people to like give you $200.
Pay me.
Yeah,
yes.
that's insane.
Do you know what I did? Like literally 3 weekends ago, I helped my buddy Colin move, and I didn't do it for pizza and beer. I did it for one Panera sandwich.
Okay, then you're definitely
and a bottle of water.
You're definitely not too old for pizza and beer then.
I know,
pizza and beer is legit, man. It's just the pick-me-up that you need in the middle of a hot August day.
But it's like when I was in college, like I'd be fine with it because I'm like, oh yeah, heck yeah, like pizza and beer.
Literally,
Are you
but
kidding me?
moving is one of those things that it's like going to your 2-year-old daughter's friend's birthday party.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it, but you need them to come to your daughter's birthday party.
Yeah.
Same deal, man. When you have to move, you're going to need their help. So just like when they move, you're not going to want to, but you're going to have to help them.
It's also the thing that that they're doing you a favor, so you can't really you feel bad giving them extra stuff to do. You know what I mean? Like you can't be like, hey, I need you to move quicker, or I need you to do more stuff. Or it's like if they're like, hey, I got to go, you can't be like, no, you're staying because they're doing you a favor. So it's like, hey, man, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hate asking people to help me with specifically just moving because I don't want to be a burden on them. I know that they hate me for that day when I ask them to help me move. It's just it's horrible. Number 7 on my top 10 things that top 10 worst things about moving is packing up the little stuff.
Oh my God, yeah.
So the little stuff is what's annoying, right? The big stuff, I'll get to that later because that's a whole different animal. Furniture and obviously couches. There was 32 of them. That people
the little stuff I think is more annoying.
It is. It really is. It's like because you're just like it's just having to go through every single like little thing that you have.
It's like, okay, you look at moving and you're like, okay, out of this room, I got to move 2 dressers, a bed, 2 nightstands, the tubs that are underneath the bed, a few hanging things in the closet. And then you're like, okay, so once I get all that, I'll be good. But then what happens when you move all that stuff out? Oh my God. I still have a little shoe rack over here. I have a PlayStation with all the games and everything over here.
Yeah, you have a record player.
I've got a closet full of hanging clothes.
A cork board.
I've got a couple like boxes that are holding stuff. I've got cords in the TV.
Yeah,
like all sorts of stuff. No,
I can only
terrible.
imagine it's worse with like children because like then you're like,
you know what?
all of her toys.
That is not false. Yes.
The toys.
Yeah,
got to be terrible. You're packing
it's
up all the
insane.
toys.
You know what else is annoying?
Be honest. Did you toss some toys?
I don't know if Caitlin did most of our packing because she was on summer, but I think that a lot of it got put into. I don't know if she donated some of them or what.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we moved a decent amount of them. But yeah, and then the other thing, like this doesn't fall in this category, but and I don't know if you have this somewhere on here, but dishes, kitchenware.
That's included.
Like wine glasses and martini glasses and pint glasses and cups and bowls.
Silverware.
And the extra stuff.
That's I'm including that in little stuff.
It's brutal.
That's the little stuff, right? Because the big stuff, I mean, if you look at it like quantitatively, shout out to me using a big word, like a couch and a dresser are, you look at it, those are 2 things. But a spoon and a fork are also 2 things.
Right.
And so you have to take all of the little things and go through, and it's just, oh man, just the little stuff is really,
it's
and
terrible.
that's when you go back to number 9 and you're like, all right, well, some of this stuff I just got to toss.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just
I'll buy a new set of pens or something. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, what am I at? Number 7 now?
Number 6.
Number 6 on my top 10 worst things about moving. On the flip side of it, the pendulum is swinging to moving the large furniture. Actually moving the large furniture is just the absolute worst. And I understand why there was 32 couches in this one apartment complex because a lot of them are just like, you know what?
I only have to take them to one space.
Yeah. Screw it. I don't even want them anymore. You know what? I don't want this. I don't want this coffee table I got from Target for $80. I'm just gonna mark that up as a loss.
Beds are terrible. Couches are awful. Chairs are awful. Dressers are terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's the worst, man.
Yeah.
It is. The little stuff is also bad because what's inside the desk that you have to move is the drawer full of tape and push pins and pens and it's horrible. Yeah, you have to put all that stuff in a box too. It's so annoying.
No, I know. It's just awful.
You know what else is annoying? I don't know if you have this on here. Clothes. Moving clothes that are like in your dresser.
I'm considering those as the little stuff as well.
Okay.
Like figuring out all the clothes. I got a lot of good stuff on here. Let's go ahead and move on to number 5, I believe, on my top 10 worst things about moving, because this is the way that apartment complexes usually do it, especially in a small town, or not a small town, but a college town, is the weather and the heat. Awful. Have you ever moved? I mean, because usually in college towns, the leases start around August 1st, which, if you know anything about the summer, is so brutally, painfully, dreadfully hot. I hate it so much. Like I said, it was a few weeks ago, I helped my buddy move. Great. It was in the same apartment complex too. Like he moved like just buildings, and it was like one building over. I was drenched in sweat.
Yeah. That's the thing is when you ask people to help you move, I mean, they know that they're going to be drenched in sweat.
Yeah,
it's going to be miserable.
The heat index for that day, it was like 110. I mean, it was just brutal.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to get started at 8 o'clock.
You're earning the pizza and beer, man.
Yeah, I know.
8 a.m.
Well, we were supposed to start at 8 o'clock. All of a sudden, they're like, hey, the carpet guy is in there cleaning it, so we had to push it back to 11:30. So 11:30 to like 2 p.m., we were moving when the heat index was like 110, and it was the most painful, brutal.
The best part is
weather.
helping move in later that day. You got to load the truck, then you got to unload the truck.
Thankfully, it was, again, same apartment complex, so we but that was almost worse because we had to take everything down and then walk like 150, 200 yards to the other building and then put it put it in.
True. I don't know. Loading a truck might be worse.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes the truck's like right there, and then like taking it or whatever. But yeah, dude, the usually the weather is awful. Have you ever moved when it was like raining?
No, but I would probably prefer that.
I helped somebody move when it was raining, and it was just the worst because we were running with mattresses, like trying to be like, oh my gosh,
that's
like
pretty bad.
Let's it's raining right now. We gotta throw this in the truck like immediately.
Yeah.
Like he can't get. Oh man, just
it's so bad because when you're loading the truck to start, you're like, oh my god, this is really deep, and you're like, okay, I got to fit all this, and then you're worried about like, can I fit everything in? And then when you start to unload the truck, you cannot believe how deep it is. You're like, how have we? I can't even see the back of the truck at this point.
Oh, I know.
Other annoying things that fall into the category of little things while they're on top of my head: your brooms, your Swiffers, the lamps, the lamp shades.
Yeah. Dude, my fiance at the time, I guess, but my wife, like her family, thankfully they did all this, I guess maybe this is something that I'll get to later, but they wrapped each individual thing in each individual glassware, like our glasses and our plates, in like paper. And so I was like, that's brutal. And B, unpacking that stuff.
Oh my God.
Just as brutal. Just absolutely terrible. Number 4 on my top 10 worst things about moving, just getting your stuff from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Like driving the truck because I've personally never had a U-Haul. I've always had to like borrow friends' trucks or throw everything in the car. And when you have like a pickup truck where everything's hanging off.
How have you never had a U-Haul, man? You have a lot of crap. You have a house.
I'm aware. I just multiple trips,
Oh
dude.
my God.
That's what I'm saying. Multiple trips, like getting stuff from point A to point B and then having to go back, load it up again, go back to the other place, come back. I mean, you're taking...
Yeah.
I've taken like 3 or 4 trips just to move before.
Man, driving that U-Haul, that however many feet it was, that was an experience. Oh my God, I was like,
it's crazy, man. I know I sound like a hacky comedian right now, but like the fact that anybody's just able to rent a 25-foot trailer for $19 an hour and have $20 insurance, like it's insane. Like anytime you see a U-Haul, just know, that person's not qualified.
Right.
That person's not even close to qualified to be driving that thing. But yeah, getting it from point A to point B, because like I had a buddy who just moved this past week who lost his mattress on the highway out of the back of his truck. It was Hunter.
That's not cheap either.
No. And he had to like drive back, and it was raining when it happened. So they had to like they had to keep their mattress out on the porch. I was like, oh man, just getting that stuff.
Yeah.
He moved from Lawrence to Topeka.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's a long trip.
I saw they finally moved their KU/OU rock, which means they finally are out of that house by me.
Yes, they're finally out of that house, which is nice. Number 3 on my top 10 worst things about moving, throwing away all the food.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not going to move the food.
The food is annoying.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I remember one of the first times we moved, or one of the last times we moved from Emporia to Lawrence, like we were just scrounging because we're like, we have to eat up all this food because we're not going to go grocery shopping again.
Yeah.
So we were just like, we were living on like ketchup sandwiches for the last week, just trying to eat all the stuff, and then we still wound up throwing away a ton of stuff. And then at the
it
end
is
of it,
awful because you have all your jarred stuff. Like you get jarred pickles and marinara sauce and like a thing of barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like you could just eat everything in the fridge unless you're Joey and Friends when his fridge broke.
Well, that's true.
He's
Yeah.
eating mustard and limes and stuff.
That's true. No, but yeah, just taking that trash bag and just clearing out the whole, and just like, oh man, there goes.
Wait, which brings
$120
something that I
down
was
the
going to
drain.
say for honorable mention, but the refrigerator cleaning.
Oh, just the worst.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, that's the absolute worst. When we moved into our house that we're living in now, the fridge was so bad when we moved in because they did not clean it whatsoever. We just taped it shut and threw it.
Really?
And we got a new fridge.
Yeah.
So it was like we couldn't. You just couldn't deal with it. Number 2 on my top 10 worst things about moving is the unpacking of everything. I still have boxes downstairs. I've lived in this house since November of 2024. So we're coming up on 2 years of living in this house, there's still boxes downstairs that we haven't unpacked.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 years. And that's just like, it's just
I've got that on here for honorable mention.
So I talked about that. Like, I remember like when we got all of our glasses, we're like, all right, cool. Now let's start unpacking. And he had to take each individual glass and unwrap it from the newspaper and put it up there. And she's like, oh my gosh. And now you have all your clothes in a tub. You had to put them on the hangers and throw them up.
Oh my God, it's awful, dude. It's terrible.
Worst.
No, I had that on here. And again, it's like you finally get through the day of moving because you have the truck from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, thank God it's over. And then you're like, oh my God, none of the stuff is where I need it to be. And you're moving boxes and tubs upstairs to certain rooms. And then you got to, it's horrible. But I remember we took out my brother and sister-in-law, Andrew and Kristen, who were the main help for us last year. We took them out for margaritas at El Pueblo. Really expensive, by the way. The place on 9th and I was like, oh my God, it's like $150. I was like, oh yeah, I'll buy them some dinner. We had some margaritas or whatever, but it was like the most taxing day of my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
When I moved a year ago. It might have been a year ago today. I think it was August 4th.
Dang. Look at you.
And yeah, it was awful. But yeah, then you are finally done and then you're like, oh my God, that was the worst day of my life. My body hurts. Oh yeah, none of the stuff is where I need it to be.
Yeah, no, I know. And it's
so
just
then
like,
you just put it off.
Well, then you put everything in and you go, okay, we're done. And then you look around and you go, oh no, all I have is boxes.
Yeah.
And nothing is up. You don't feel organized, but you're so beat from that day of moving. You're just like,
totally.
All right, man, I guess I'm sleeping on the ground tonight. Like, it's just awful. Just terrible. Number 1, drum roll. On my top 10 worst things about moving is saying goodbye to your old place.
I think that's what I had from my number 1 as
really?
well. Yes.
I mean, you make so many memories there, and I'm sure for you it was definitely because you when you moved out of your old place, you're like, oh, that's where my daughter took her first steps.
Absolutely.
And,
she we actually drove by our old house like a month ago, and it was adorable because she said that she wanted to go inside because all the toys in there are really fun.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, buddy.
We have
they're all the same toys in there.
But no, it was cute because she remembers good memories and of that. But yeah, it's sad.
Totally. It's super sad. When I moved away from Emporia, I mean, I loved Emporia. I lived there for, a good chunk of my life, and we got our first dog there, and that was our first house that we had, and it was obviously our college town that we lived in, and leaving there was just so sad, man. I remember I shed like one single tear when we left. I was like, man, it's just a bummer, saying goodbye, because no matter where you're at, no matter if it's a crappy apartment or an old house or whatever, you're still going to have some memories attached to it. And I think it was, it's always sad leaving those places.
A solid list, but I don't know that you've ever put together a list that had a more blatant miss than this one.
What's the blatant one?
The most blatant miss of the worst things about moving is cleaning.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. Having to clean like the vents and the ceiling fans and the baseboards and the tubs, everything in the bathroom. I mean, it's as bad as it gets because you can live a place for years and not clean those things once. And you just have to, clean it. It's
Years
not
of
like
grime.
It's not like mom's coming over. I got to wipe down the sink. Like you have to actually clean it.
Yeah. Another good one is just doing the walkthrough with your landlord.
Oh God, you're like I swear to God, if you
give
say
me my deposit back.
Yeah, and also if you say one thing about something else I need to clean, I'm gonna lose it.
Like, come on, dude. Like, seriously, I spend my hands and knees scrubbing this bathroom floor, and it's not good enough. Oh,
but seriously, think about cleaning because you finally get all the stuff out, but then you have 3 items still in your kitchen that you haven't moved out, and you've gotten all the coffee mugs packed away, and you've gotten. But the 3 items still are the vacuum and other cleaning things, and the cleaning box or tub is the last thing that you have. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Man.
But yeah.
Shout out to everybody who's moving this week, moving either back into Lawrence or moving away from Lawrence, whatever that may be. Shout out to you. And if you need a couch, go to 24th and like Naismith Trail, and you'll find plenty of couches.
And unlike my co-host, I am not above helping for pizza and beer. So hit me up. And if you have enough beer and enough pizza, I might be able to lend a hand.
No, that's actually a good point. If you're in the market and you need somebody to move, we'll put Sean's personal cell phone number on the bottom of the screen here. Can we do that? Can we put Sean's personal cell phone number on the bottom, and you can call him?
Number. Usually you say the social security number.
We'll put his home address. You can just go to his home address and knock on the door, and it'll be perfectly fine.
We'll put my phone number and my social security number both up there, but you have to guess which is which. How about that? That's our Top 10 Tuesday here on Rock Chalk Sports. All right, coming up after this, we are diving back into Kansas football, as we're going to hear from head football coach Lance Leipold. That's next, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Sasha Khan, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Grass is still growing, and so are the savings at Heinemann. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers at Heinemann Repair and Heinemann Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $600 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with improved credit. Offer ends August 31st. For details and big savings, see Heinemann Repair in Valley Falls and Heinemann Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinemann, there's always hope for your yard.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
It was great hearing from head football coach Lance Leipold a little bit earlier today at the football building following day one of fall camp. Let's hear Coach Leipold in full earlier today.
Well, good morning. How was the first day of camp, and was it different having had other sort of practices before the official camp?
Yeah, it was, well, first of all, great to be back out there with the guys with helmets on and getting closer to playing real football. You know, I thought our retention level's been great, kind of like you said, with the summer work that we're able to get time before they left last week. You know, it's almost like picking up where you left off and kind of keep moving. I think again our guys are excited, extremely coachable, and it's great to be out there. I was happy with what I saw for the first day. Got your force back into this, Gary, huh? Yeah.
I'm curious, when you look at this team, getting to work with it now, with pads, when you project or what you envision this looking like in a month, what do you want the identity of this team to be?
Well, again, I think we've improved a lot on defense. I think again we continue to be multiple there. Where I like this, we've increased our size and speed of our football team overall, especially I think on the defensive side. I want us to continue to be aggressive, fundamentally sound, play the game with passion, be, not beat ourselves. I think offensively, continue to be as multiple as we can. I think we're going to have a really good quarterback battle through camp. Both do a lot of great things. I know Andy is excited about both of those guys and what they're going to bring and what we can do with them to move the football. And again, our identity offensively will continue to be as multiple as we can, but Andy and I talked yesterday, we got to be able to run the football. We got to be able to be a physical running football team. But again, I like our receivers and our ability to create things on the outside as well.
You mentioned quarterback. It's been a while since there's been a real open competition for the starting job. How do you guys handle that? And do you have like a time frame of when you'd like to ideally have a decision made by?
No, we've never sat in a room and said let's make sure we're naming a starter by this point. And again, because of both guys doing a good job, and B, I think that is our practice format allows us to get both guys a lot of equal reps and opportunities to be evaluated. I'm sure. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that there's a time that who's ever going to be out there or out there the most needs to work with a certain set of guys, and we are aware of that. But you know, I'll say it now, I'll probably say it through camp. I think there's a very high probability that you'll see both quarterbacks play in games this year, and be used in multiple ways.
So is there a chance that the season opener is used to further evaluate that job, or do you want it done before the game?
Well, everyone's going to be evaluated each and every week. The thing I think you might be asking, Jordan, is that we don't want to get into where it's a flip-flop back and forth all the time where someone goes. But at the same time, like I said, we'll use both guys. So who knows? Are you saying that is the first game like the true audition to decide who you go with from there? That has not been discussed either.
This has looked like kind of a new look backfield with running backs. What are your early thoughts on watching it?
Yeah, you know, it's about the healthiest the group's been in a while, to be honest. You know, we've got some guys that have missed some time, and Jalen Dupree being the main one. To see him out there moving today was good to see as well. I like our backfield. I like the depth there. I think there's a lot of guys that can be productive for us, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how we can spread that around. But different styles of runners, different sizes, there's speed, there's power, a lot of different things that, again, I know when Andy and I kind of talk about where we're going, there's a lot of different ways for us to be creative with that group.
I felt like the secondary, maybe safety specifically, was a position where injuries prevented you from getting the full picture in the spring. Do you feel like you're getting more clarity about that, and what do you want to see from them over the course of this?
Yeah, you know, again, it's only one day, but there's more bodies out there. They're not wearing yellow jerseys, and they're cleared to go. So it's going to be a great question to answer probably in a week's time when they're really out there. We can see when we have shoulder pads on where that's at. There's a lot of able people in that safety room. Who's going to take charge and solidify themselves in order to be the guy out there is yet to be determined. You know, who's going to be confident in making calls and communicating, and then of course fulfilling the role that's needed to play there, as well as the nickel position. But I do like the options that we have. Henry, the thing, you know, again, as you said, we don't want to get into where, you know, we got able bodies. We want to give guys good opportunities. There could be some rotational things there, but you don't want everyone to think that if I make one mistake, the other guy gets going, and you keep flipping, and you don't have any continuity back there.
Lance, you already said size and speed defensively have improved. Are there other areas that make you feel like your defense is better? Are there any that really
Yeah, I do think, you know, up front we're better. I think there's more depth. I definitely have more depth at linebacker than we've had. Not against anyone that was here in the past or it's still on the roster, but, you know, last year, you know, we're a play away from playing a walk-on and things like that after we lost a guy or two. So I like where that's at. We got to stay healthy through camp, of course. Again, confidence, size, speed, and our defense is communicating better, which means they're playing more confidently. If they'll speak up, again, everyone will be on the same page, and I think we have a chance to be better in that regard from the jump.
Has anyone triggered that player-wise? Obviously, your coaches are preaching it all the time, but the communication part of that?
You know, I think all our guys, I think, you know, from safety-wise, you know, Taylor Davis, this guy that's played the most, has been there the most healthy through the spring. I think Trey Lathan's had a really, really good summer and off-season about stepping more into a leadership role and understanding what we need from a Mike Backer and how that really kind of filters through the defense. I think he's done a nice job. Talked about Quincy Davis being there, you know, Bam Couch is another guy that has been able to do it. But we're getting more across the board, and you can see that kind of, you know, leads to a lot more of a confident group of guys.
On the topic of defense, at Big 12 Media Days, listen to other coaches talk. The topic of versatility defensively came up a lot. I know that's something with DK last year you guys really tried to have. When you transitioned and picked DK as the defensive coordinator, it seemed like that would be a key piece compared to maybe in the past where it's been a little more, you know, you have a scheme and you use it versus mixing up fronts and all that stuff. Why with DK, was that something that you wanted to go with the direction of the defense?
Could you kind of phrase that again? I'm not sure if I'm understanding exactly what
So
you're saying. I'm
transitioning
sorry.
from Coach Borland to Coach
Yep.
McDonald, right? Going from having kind of straight four-man front,
Yep.
4-2-5, to
Yep.
now where it's three-man fronts, five-man fronts,
Yep.
four, like doing all this versatile stuff. Why was that a direction you wanted to go in defense?
Again, it's just something as to be able to match up against different personnel groupings and seeing what we could do with personnel-wise to be a better defense consistently against a run. Now, it hasn't shown itself completely yet, but I do think that our guys in a second year, just like I've said before, is a lot of us are a lot better in year 2 than we are in year 1, and I feel that our guys understand it more. They see the understanding of I keep saying communication, because it was so important last year. When guys were hesitant, we're not on the same page. We say it many times in our meetings, is that we could be wrong, but if we're all on the same page being wrong, we still have a chance to make it right. But when half of us are thinking this, the other half are there because nobody's communicating, that causes a lot of issues, and it did last year. So again, DK's vision on being multiple up front, getting some bigger bodies on the field from time to time against certain personnel groupings was very important to us. But of course, then playing with a nickel and being more athletic in the back seven was something else that is there, and that's you see many programs do it in college football. You see it a lot in the NFL, all those different things, and for us to adapt to that, I thought was something we needed to take another step as a program.
And looking at the camp schedule overall, have you guys tweaked the way you guys are doing it this year? It seems like maybe 3 days on, 1 day off, first 4 in the past.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit of, it's a great question. We're gonna, as we said a year ago, or I should say a year ago in the spring, that we had to look at a lot of different things to make ourselves a better football team. And one of that is how we practice, the length of practice. How can we be a fresh football team, stay healthy in a lot of different ways that we're looking at it. The way the calendar has fallen this year allowed us, some years we actually reported a day later than we could have, okay, which allowed us right away to jump into football meetings and activities. Well, yesterday's a day that's an administrative day. Well, we went back to that. That allowed us now, the way it flows into the first game, is that we could be on 3-day cycles. And again, our players are excited about it. And as we get into the season, probably share with you more that we're going to modify some ways that we practice during the week. And again, I stood here before and say, I've got to be open to new ways and try to find ways that keeps us fresh and gives us the best chance to win. And I think our fall camp schedule is one of those ways to do it. I jokingly said to our guys, not really joking because it was fact, is today really starts my 20th year as a head football coach. And today we are on the field for probably 65 minutes of practice. My first practice as a head coach, we had 31 periods of 5 minutes apiece. Okay, so times have changed in 20 years, and there's different ways to go about it. And the day that you're too stubborn to want to change, you're not going to have a chance in this thing. So I feel good about our camp schedule. I like where it's going. I think when we approach game week, I think our players will feel different than they have maybe in the past.
You mentioned linebackers. Landon had announced on social media that he wasn't going to have another season of eligibility, and that decision comes as a surprise to all teams.
Rulings these days don't surprise me anymore which way they go. Disappointing is the word that really came about, that all the information that we had received from on Landon Watson from his transfer was that it was going to go through there was some missing documentation at the start. Backtracking on that became difficult. We thought we had everything in order, had the people that gave the information that we thought we needed to make it happen, but nonetheless, unfortunately, it was denied. So, and then a tough way for someone to find out that their eligibility's been exhausted. But yeah.
On the injury front, is there anyone limited or otherwise who early or
anyone you have in mind that you've been waiting to ask me about that you want to go through?
Trayvon.
Okay, so you've been asking about Trayvon. Okay, Trayvon was injured in the spring, had surgery, and he will not play this season. Okay, and we've taken the steps. I think most of you probably knew that already. You're just waiting for me to tell you. So, we have filed the waiver and everything in place, and all things that he'll be a Jayhawk next year if that goes. Barring any type of small mirror. He's moving really well. He's probably ahead of schedule, but still an ACL is an ACL. So, and then Justin Thurman, unfortunately, was injured at the beginning of the summer as well, and he'll miss the season as well. So those two are not available at this time. Everyone else, Conley Hovey and Grady Seifert are not practicing at this time, and they'll return probably to full activity. Probably, I would hope, when we return from England.
A couple quick things. First of all, just since you mentioned the rulings, how have you guys reacted in the last few days to Friday night's ruling and just, I guess, the 5-year eligibility stuff more broadly?
5-year eligibility things, again, there's, as you continue to look at, we're all looking for some consistency on how we can put rosters together, what eligibility, get out of the waivers, all these different things, as I just mentioned, waiver, but, that is good. That is something that I think a lot of us had hoped for a while. Last Friday's ruling is timing's unique, of course, and all those things, and then it kind of changes a little bit here and there. Obviously we continue to research, and if there's any ways to improve our roster, if that's an option that we can do, we'll look to explore that. But with after the initial ruling and then other clarifications, the amount of people really shrunk there quickly from what everybody thought that would be available and whatnot. So we'll see what happens there. But again, we're on top of it.
And then, I mean, even since we last saw you, you've added a lot of analysts new to the staff this year. What kind of qualities were you hoping to bring in with some of the new guys? I guess?
Yeah, we got a lot of new. That's analysts, assistant position coaches. I want to, if I make sure if I don't miss people, we talked about John DeFilippo, who's been an NFL coordinator, is great for the offensive room. Kevin Johnson's working with the running backs is another fine addition. Trying to go through David Parker was somebody that Andy worked with at Penn State, was at the University of Tennessee, and again, when a guy wants to leave an SEC program to come work with us and get back on offense was something we felt was a great addition. He's been at Arkansas, Nebraska, Minnesota, brings a lot of different perspectives and a fine coach. Bobby McMillan was with Jerry Kill at New Mexico State. He'll be working with our linebackers. Was at Utah State, and then most recently at Southeast Missouri. Somebody that DK was very familiar with at Iowa State. And then probably the addition with obviously the most experience was Dwayne Aquina. Dwayne's outstanding football coach, a veteran, most recently at the University of Texas. Been at Texas. I met Coach Aquina probably over 30 years ago when Rob Ionello and him when he worked together in Arizona, when Rob and Dwayne were talking, and he was still looking for an opportunity to make a contribution to a program, and we had conversations. DK was always impressed with the work that he's had. You can look at the All-Americans, the Thorpe winners, all those things. He's a very accomplished coach who has a lot of energy, and he's going to be a big addition to that defensive meeting room. I hope I hit them all. And if I missed anyone that was old, I apologize. But good.
Anything else, Coach Leipold?
Anything else? Appreciate everyone being here. Have a great day.
That's KU head football coach Lance Leipold a little bit earlier today. Coach seems to his brain seems to work parallel to some of the media members, I would say. He almost can read their mind on what they're looking for. And certainly the injury update was a big story on that front. As Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, the Lawrence Journal World, asked about injury updates, and that's when you heard Coach talk about Justin Thurman, Trayvon McAlpine, like we talked about a little bit earlier. Both those guys, unfortunately, going to miss the 2026 campaign. But yeah, a lot of excitement regarding this KU football program. Of course, it's that time of year where it's like, all right, we are getting closer and closer to actually playing games. And a month from today, Dan, we're going to be walking in the booth, and really excited to bring in Long Island Sharks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. It was cool to hear Lance Leipold talk about the evolution of how practices have gone since he's been. I mean, he said that this is year 20 of him being a head coach at the college level, and he said they used to have 31 5-minute periods. Now they're only out there for an hour 5. And so things have changed a little bit. I've talked about how the fact that I'm not crazy about the way that they do practice, but at the same time, he feels as though that if you shorten things up, spend more time in film, you can spend less time out there actually on the field. Obviously, get what you need done out there on the field. But yeah, that was a little bit interesting to kind of hear. And I mean, he seems like he's in a great mood. I mean, look, football's back, man. I mean, football is here. Fall camp is here. It's my favorite time of year. He seems anxious for it. He seemed like he was in a relatively chipper mood today. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of see. But again, it was really kind of interesting to hear his perspective as to how things have kind of evolved and changed over times. And he said you kind of have to evolve and change with the times, or else you'll kind of be obsolete. So he's starting to figure these things out as well, which is really interesting. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think Lance is also excited to get things going, get the ball rolling. And he said really it's a 2-horse race. Also, another interesting thing that he said during that press conference is that we're going to see both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an interesting thing. You heard him talk about it kind of towards the beginning, where he said you're going to see both quarterbacks in different kind of situations, throughout. And he said he doesn't want it to be one of those like, oh, one of them's playing bad, let's put in the other one. Like they have specific sets for, I guess, like each quarterback and kind of playing to their abilities, which again goes back to the thing that I didn't want, which is essentially a 2-quarterback system. Because as you know, as people say, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, I mean, more than likely, going to see both quarterbacks in the Long Island game. We'll see if we see them in the Mizzou game. We'll see if it even bleeds into the Arizona State game. I mean, I don't know what each individual role is going to necessarily look like for those guys. But yeah, interesting comments today by Coach Leipold. Yeah,
and we're going to hear over the coming days from Associate Head Coach, Offensive Coordinator Andy Kotelnicki, Director of Strength and Conditioning Matt Gildersleeve, Defensive Coordinator DK McDonald, and the safeties as well. We'll hear a little bit later in the week. And then next week, we're going to hear from Jim Zabrowski, Chris Simpson, Jonathan Wallace, and much more in terms of the coaches and the players as KU football fall camp is underway. After this, though, we're going back to the Kansas City Chiefs coverage we promised. We take a look at the Los Angeles Rams in our Kansas City Chiefs Opponent Outlook segment. That's next. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
What's up? I'm Bodie Ray with Kansas Baseball, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
At the heart of a city lies the restless, the visionaries, the bold. From redefining events to guiding local youth, providing lifelines of industry, or reshaping wellness across the region, you deserve a financial partner that matches your ambition. At Meritrust, we handle the finances so you can take care of the bold. Meritrust Credit Union. Business, banking, bold.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Make sure you follow us on socials at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Kansas Nation on Facebook. If you missed anything from yesterday's show, you can check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. Appreciate the likes, subscriptions. They mean a lot. So thanks to all of our fans out there. It's our Chiefs Opponent Outlook segment as we look at the first opponent the Chiefs will face in the preseason. That is actually 11 days from now. The Los Angeles Football Rams will come calling to Arrowhead on August 15th at 3 p.m. But the Chiefs will also take them on Week 13.
Yes.
In
How
Inglewood.
excited are you to see some Ty Simpson and Stetson Bennett football?
Oh, man, that's going to be fantastic. I'll be doing postgame actually over on Sports Radio 810 WHB for that game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Good for you.
How about that? So, I'll be excited to see Justin Fields out there. There's no doubt about that. But the LA Rams are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. Plus 550, of course. They have Matt Stafford, the reigning MVP. They bring in Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. Plus 550, the shortest odds of anybody by far for the Rams. And unfortunately, Dan, they no longer have your boy, Tutu Atwell, as he is now in South Beach. So tell us a little bit about the Rams, because this is going to be unquestionably, obviously, very difficult game for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you have the reigning NFL MVP on your team, and Matthew Stafford had, what was it, 4,700 yards from last year. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible stuff from him. Kyron Williams is a great running back. Blake Corum is right behind him, so a nice little 1-2 punch there. I'm not overly impressed with the wide receiver corps, because you obviously have Puka Nacua, who is very, very good, had over 1,200 yards from last year. You also have an aging Devontae Adams, who is not going to get any better, right? He's obviously past his prime, past his peak, could still be a serviceable wide receiver. He's really the number two guy. Then you have Jordan Whittington, who had, what was it? I mean, Jordan Whittington did not have a tremendous year from last year. He winds up with, 18 receptions for 171 yards from last year. He's their number 3 guy. They do have Xavier Smith, who's right behind Puka Nacua, but I'm not overly bullish on this wide receiver core by them. They have Colby Parkinson, who's a nice tight end as well. Their offensive line is good, but the defense is really what scares me, right? I mean, you do have Myles Garrett. You're bringing in Trent McDuffie for them, right? I mean, you have Byron Young. Nate Landman, I think, is a really nice interior linebacker, Poona Ford. I mean, they have Braden Frisk. I mean, my goodness, they have really talented defenders on this Rams roster. And again, they spent the money to try to acquire some of these guys. And Myles Garrett, I mean, that automatically is a game changer right there for them. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But yeah, I mean, this Rams team is going to be very difficult, especially when you're playing out there in Orange County.
You look at the Rams, like I said, plus 550, and then the Bills and the Ravens are plus 1,000. Seahawks plus 1,100, and I said this yesterday, but the Chiefs are next at plus 1,600 with the Eagles and the Patriots. This is 3 teams in a row, and maybe people will scoff at the Bengals. The Bengals are plus 2,000, which isn't that long of odds, but seriously, it's 12, 13, and 14 all on the road for the Chiefs. That's what makes week 9, 10, and 11 very important. You got to go 3-0 against the bad teams that you face, and Jets, Falcons, Cardinals, but you get those 3 teams on the road, and then you come home, but you have hard games at home as well, because you have Patriots and 49ers also on there, and then you got at the Chargers. So a very difficult stretch for the Chiefs, which is something that we were not thinking was going to happen when the Chiefs went 6-11. But again, you drew the NFC West, and they're loaded with the exception of Arizona.
Yeah, you thought you'd get a little bit of an easier draw, especially after you go, like you said, 6-11. But the NFC West is always going to be a stalwart. I mean, you have the reigning Super Bowl champions. You have the odds-on Super Bowl favorites in there. The 49ers are always going to be tough. And yeah, you got the Cardinals, but whatever. They're the Cardinals, you know what I mean? But still, those are 3 tough games. And then playing in the AFC West with very good teams like the Broncos and the Chargers, I mean, it's always going to be tough. And it's the NFL. It's always going to be tough.
Yeah, preseason, Chiefs and Rams, August 15th. That's a Saturday, 3 p.m. kick. That'll be the first time we get to watch the Chiefs in action, and it will be at Arrowhead. Then they face the Rams for real, like we said, Week 13. Hey, all sorts of coverage. Chiefs and KU football coming up the rest of this week on Rock Chalk Sports for our technical director, Elijah Schmidt, and then Jimmy Kaufman and Trey Myers, who have been helping him out today behind the cameras. And Dan Courtwright, I am Sean Kellerman saying join us tomorrow from 4 to 6. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
I'm Keith Langford, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
At the heart of a city lies the restless, the visionaries, the bold. From redefining events to guiding local youth, providing lifelines of industry, or reshaping wellness across the region, you deserve a financial partner that matches your ambition. At Meritrust, we handle the finances, so you can take care of the bold. Meritrust Credit Union. Business, banking, bold.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.